got parents, Harry 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 got parents.
Yes, the day has finally come. They have finally spilled the beans. The fairy type is now official. Not that anybody didn't see that coming since that one episode of Pokémon Smash. There have been a few details that have been revealed about it. Perhaps most importantly, the fact that there are going to be mass retcons in order to populate the type. Sorry, I was about to say tier for some stupid reason. But, yeah, so far we know about Jigglypuff, Gardevoir, and Marill, which, what a coincidence, we just killed a Marill. But, yeah, these three have been confirmed. I have also heard that the Pixie Trio was also confirmed, but none of the news channels that I typically follow have anything on that. But seriously, let's be honest here. I'm gonna be shocked if these three don't end up as psychic fairies. So yeah, lots of retcons incoming, and I'm sort of warming up to the notion of a new type now that we know how it's being done. They're really not dropping the ball on that one, at least from what we know so far. We only know for the time being that it's going to be super effective against Dragon. But seriously, that's still what everyone wanted to hear because Dragon is just so freaking OP. In fact, let's be honest. Did you honestly not expect a new type to be strong against Dragon? I mean, what other point would there be to introducing a new type? Even Masuda knows it. Masuda said himself that the only reason why the fairy type even exists is because Dragon was too OP and they had to drag it down somehow. Otherwise, we probably still would be looking at 17 types in Generation 6. Oh, really, game? You're gonna do this to me now? Well, no matter. I'm gonna finish that building before heading back to heal because I think there's only one guy upstairs in this game, so it should be a fairly short work anyway. So, yeah, well, what she's talking about is really interesting because apparently the president of the company is a child. If you remember in the first game, the janitor was actually the president in disguise. In this game, as we're going to find out, no more. The janitor is now just a janitor, and he's handed over the reins to his grandson as we get an ether over here. Always a good idea to check everywhere to make sure there aren't any hidden items. Trash can empty, sorry, I pressed the button twice. So, yeah, we're going to have to fight this little kid. Not a challenge at all, even though he's supposed to be the sort of the final boss of the battle company. He's not. He's just as non-threatening as any other trainer in this place, so you can beat him pretty easily. So yeah, that's basically all we know about the fairy type for now. The fact that there is going to be some serious retconning going on, and the super effectiveness against Dragon thing. One thing that I want to point out though is that Jigglypuff will not be Mono Fairy. It will retain its normal type, which is a bit unexpected considering that, as I've said before, most of the candidates for retcons are already normal types, so it means that we're going to have a lot of normal fairies if they all get this treatment. So, yeah, I find it sort of weird. I would have expected them to be Mono Fairy instead of Normal Fairy, but I guess this works too, even though, you know, if Pokemon Smash didn't lie to us about the fairy being weak to fighting, then suddenly all these Pokemon aren't just going to get their asses kicked by fighting. They're just going to get obliterated. Every atom within their body is just going to separate from one another. It's going to be crazy. And also, I suppose, as a side note, it will make it slightly less awkward, you know, playing Pokemon Conquest. You know, if Jigglypuff at least remains part normal, because otherwise it would just feel weird in a way like, hey, Oichi, get out of Aurora! You don't belong there anymore! But anyway, we've beaten the battle company, and there's no real prize for it other than the items that we found here, as well as the experience, which it's cool, I guess, since my Pokemon sort of need the experience, especially Drillbur, because I would really, really like it to have Rock Slide by the time I get around to doing Berg's Gym. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna head over... Well, first we're gonna stop by the Pokemon Center to heal, and after that we're going to head back to the Game Freak building where Morimoto and the other dude, I forget the name of, want to battle. Now they're super bosses in the post game, and Morimoto was in the first game as well. Oh, Mr. Metal's here, so what are we gonna get here? We get easy cycling medal, so I guess I've put in enough steps with the bicycle to get a medal. So yeah, we're gonna be fighting these two. They're not any kind of threatening at all. Morimoto has the three unevolved elemental monkeys, of course, and the other guy has a Clefairy with leftovers. There's some relationship between the real-life version of that guy and Snorlax. I think maybe he, I would need to check it. I would need to check this up, but I think that the guy's nickname actually became the Japanese name for Snorlax or something like that. So, oh, and speaking of Snorlax, that's why he says I'm Snorlax. It's because, well, I think that's it. I think that's the fact that his nickname eventually became the Japanese name for Snorlax, and of course, Snorlax and leftovers have been very, very related to each other ever since the days of Gold and Silver. Right now, he's only got a Clefairy, which is sort of weird. Why not a Munchlax? But oh well. By the way, of course, he does have a Snorlax in the post-game fight, just in case you were wondering. Also, while I beat these guys down, two new styles of battling in X and Y. First, we're going to have Sky Battles, which are fairly boring, actually. It's just battling, except you're only allowed to use flyers or levitators. So, yeah, I see two possibilities. Either this is just them feeling that they had the need to introduce some new styles of battling, or this is a dare from one Troll Freak employee to the other that, you know, the challenge was try to make Stealth Rock even more overpowered. Because, yeah, most of the Pokemon allowed are flying types, so get something like an Aerodactyl, Uxie, Azelf, Gliscor, Skarmory, anything like that, and go buck wild with Stealth Rock. There's even less of a reason to not use it now. These fights, by the way, as far as in-game goes, aren't mandatory. You will be prompted. You can actually choose yes or no whenever you encounter one of these trainers. Because, well, you know, it would really suck if you were forced into battles where you can, like, use only one member of your team or something like that, so at least they had the foresight to do that. Also, Horde battles, 1-on-5 battles. We still don't know on which terms these battles will appear, but we don't know if these are going to be trainer battles, wild battles, anything like that. Though they probably are wild battles from the way they're being depicted. Now, just give me a second. I'm going to take a look at my Pokédex real quick. 43! Alright! We only had 25 not so long ago, and now we're all the way up at 43, so I'm going to head back to the North Street of Castelia and get that Eviolite that I couldn't get the first time around. Always very important to remember that if you don't have enough Pokemon when you reach that guy. I strongly, strongly suggest that you get the Eviolite because it's going to make your life a whole lot easier, especially if you're planning on using one of the Pokemon that evolved really, really late, and in Gen 5 there is a crap ton of them, so definitely come here, get the Eviolite as soon as you can. So what I'm going to do is I am going to give it to Drillbur, who currently has the Quick Claw, which doesn't do it much good because Drillbur is actually fairly quick. Not too quick, but still fairly quick, and it's much higher level than anything else at that point in the game, so it's already going to outspeed everything anyway, so the Eviolite is going to be a lot more useful, especially when I'm going to reach Berg. So, by the way, I wonder if that's something that's going to make it back into X and Y. You know, the fact that that many Pokemon will evolve stupidly late at levels that were previously only kept for pseudo-legendaries, or if they're just going to be a lot more tame this time around. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So I'm just going to head back to the Pokemon Center, heal real quick, even though I only lost like 1 PP for Dig and 3 for Slash. But it's still a good idea to do so, because we're going to be heading into the Relic Passage. Remember that that's where, just past where we fought those Team Plasma Grunts, and I already showed you like the first screen or so of the place. The Relic Passage is a passage that goes from the Castelia sewers all the way to Driftvale. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, we cannot reach Driftvale from it right now, obviously, because not too far in there's a jumping ledge that's a one-way path from Driftvale to Castelia. So unfortunately, we can't explore too much of the Relic Passage right now, and the dowsing machine would really help in this place. Oh, by the way, something that I really, really wanted to ask. It's more of a rhetorical question because I don't expect you to actually have the answer. But the fact that Masuda admitted to creating the Fairy type to counterbalance the Dragon type means that he knew that the Dragon type was just way too strong. The question I want to ask, is he aware that weather is too strong, especially rain? And is he aware that Stealth Rock is too strong as well? I guess we're going to have our answers in a few months, because I seriously doubt we're going to have any kind of in-depth info as to potential nerfs to permanent weather or Stealth Rock in like Korokoro or Pokemon Smash or anything like that. This is the kind of thing that we are definitely going to find out. Or not, if there's nothing to find out as we play the game for the first time. Also, yet another thing that came out from yesterday, backwards compatibility is not a done deal yet. Remember when I was using the fact that the architecture of the 3DS was different enough from that of the DS to ensure that the entirety of Generation 5 would take place on the DS, and that was pretty much my argument for why there would be no deluxe version / sequel or Gen 3 remake on the 3DS before Generation 6 starts. Well, it's coming back to bite them in the ass because of the fact that, yeah, the architecture is so different that apparently backwards compatibility is a heck of a lot more complicated to deal with. So, they said they're working on it. They really want to make it work. But, at least we have an idea that it's not difficult because of of game mechanics being totally overhauled or anything like that, though I will be coming back to the topic of happiness probably in the second part of this double program, because yes, it's going to be a double program at this rate. But yeah, back to what I was saying, backwards compatibility isn't out of the question from square one, as was the case in Generation 3. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. At least they have a few more toys, I guess, to play around with if they want to make it work, like the Global Link website and all these kinds of online shenanigans and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out, and I guess we're going to be figuring that out either in the months leading up to release or at release itself, though I would really like to know what to expect before release, understandably. Oh, Hearthstone! Well, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to keep that in mind once Drillbur evolves and the Eviolite is no longer useful on it. So that's... Oh! Dust Cloud! Fuck you, game! That was just mean! And the thing is, it happened so many times when trying to grind with Audinos in the Black and White 1. Never in Black and White 2, though! The fact that they drove the encounter rates down really helps with Audino grinding, trust me. So I'm just gonna take a little break now, save everything I've done so far, and I'll be right back.